What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Mets Weekly, episode number 33. Baseball season is over, the offseason, and he is here, and our annual offseason anxiety is ready to emerge. Now, we've got some games to play. We got a new closing segment that I'm very excited about. I hope everybody else is as well. Before we get into all of the madness, people on the screen with me, who the hell are these people? Let's start with Mets Talk with Hayden.
What's going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden is the name. Raging is the game. I hope we are all doing extremely well. I most certainly am. Pretty much Mets season is over. Big surprise. Well, it's been over. Baseball season in general was over. The Atlanta Braves, as you can see back there, were crowned the World Series champion. So good for them. I was obviously covering all the postseason games. So if you guys would like to check those out, please do. Otherwise, feel free to check me out. Mets Talk with Hayden, LFGM.
All right, Frank About Sports.
Yes, Frank About Sports, as you see it on the channel. Now that baseball is officially over, it is off-season time. So that means a lot of good stuff coming. I got a video this weekend that I'm really excited to put out. So definitely stay tuned because it's going to get pretty crazy this month with this whole possible deadline lockout next month. So a lot of things are going to get crammed in. So it's going to be pretty hectic very soon.
All right. And speaking of hectic, crazy, rhino hecticness, Andrew.
What's up, guys? Again, the Mets. Again, I'm working from home. Also, going to a Rhino Hour probably about tomorrow, talking about Jack Eichel getting moved, finally getting moved for 2 years, and of course, it wasn't the New York Rangers, which I said it was going to be the Vegas Golden Knights, and it was the Vegas Golden Knights who acquired Jack Eichel. This isn't a hockey channel, but Rhino Hour tomorrow, and probably weekly podcast, and again, free agency moves, trade rumors. Hopefully, we get back to the normal setup pretty soon, so I can pump out a little more better content, more content in general. So let's get going.
Okay, well, just as a reminder, we are also streaming this episode on Frank About Sports. We're also streaming it on Andrew Acevedo's channel. So make sure to go every stream, like it, come in, say hi, and subscribe to all 6 of us, even though there's 4 of us here. We've got a lot of awesome stuff coming out soon for Mets Weekly. This offseason is going to be crazy. So with that being said, let's start off with episode 33 of Mets Weekly. And guys, we have an intro now, so let's roll it.
This is Frank Cugino from Frank About Sports.
What's going on, guys? Andrew Acevedo back.
What's going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden is the name.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mets Fan from YouTube.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Tony Metro.
Big Apple Banter Media here with Elias. That's weekly.
Mets Weekly.
Mets Weekly.
Mets Weekly.
Mets Weekly.
Welcome to Mets Weekly. All right, so let's talk about this team that we know very well in our division. The Braves are champions. And what are the takeaways from this? This is all we got to say. Frank About Sports, we'll start with you.
Yeah,
Braves won it all.
Straight up frustrating because, I mean, as a Mets fan, I dislike the Braves. I dislike all the National League East teams. And now in the 2000s, we've seen all these teams win World Series. We saw the Marlins get one, the Phillies got one, the Nationals got one, the Braves got one, and the Mets still don't have one since 1986. So it's like it's our turn. We are due. And I'm just sick and tired of seeing these other teams in the division, make the right moves, go for it all, and win it all. Meanwhile, the Mets, it's like same old, finish under 500, have a bunch of offseason drama. You're beating each other up in the locker room, and you don't have a president of baseball operations or a manager.
Yeah, we'll get into the locker room later. Andrew Acevedo, what do you think about the Braves winning it all?
I know we all hate the Braves. Obviously, Frank, has a lot more hatred towards the Braves. He was around in the 90s and all that. But again, for me personally, I really could care less. As long as, for me, I hate the Braves, obviously. But it was good to see Freddie get a ring. Freddie is a good dude. My homie Ronald Acuna is my dude. Love him. Good dude. And as long as it wasn't the Yankees, I truly could care less who won it. But I'm also getting a good Jorge Soler and Travis d'Arnaud card tomorrow. So that's pretty good. Would have preferred, maybe a Carlos Correa. But, that guy couldn't show up in a big spot this year. they trying to get paid and he just doesn't show up. Brett Beatty was killing it this past 2 weeks. I don't know if Carlos Correa was doing anything important. Just saying.
All right. Let's talk with Hayden. What do you think about the Braves winning it all?
Yeah, obviously it was really big for the Braves. We know that the Atlanta Braves were at least, I think, 8 to 10 games under 500 by the trade deadline, and I really respect what this Braves executive and front office did. They were struggling. They were struggling with the health of their rotation, and overall, they weren't getting much offensive production from the outfield. So what did they do? They called Kansas City, got Jorge Soler. Called Cleveland, got Eddie Rosario. Called Chicago, got Jock Peterson. Called Miami, got Adam Duvall. Just the moves like that really went to step in. I asked you guys, I made this similar to the Mets 2015 trade deadline. We both see these teams were not hitting. What did they do? They went to the trade deadline. They got bats to spike it up. The Braves pitching staff, guys like Ian Anderson, Max Fried were on and off the IL. You had the absence of Mike Soroka, but it really goes to show how well this Braves team really turned it around. And one thing I want to point out was both the NLCS MVP and the World Series MVP were guys they acquired at the trade deadline. So that really goes to show you how well and how much you should take advantage of a trade deadline, because it really sets you up. If you are contending, it could really help you out in the World Series. The Braves did that. The Mets did not do that. I really congratulate the Atlanta Braves. I could really care less they're a division rival. It's good to see Freddie Freeman get a ring, just like the Nationals in 2019. I wanted to see Ryan Zimmerman and Max Scherzer get a ring. They did. 26 years later, they got a ring. Mets are the only team in the 21st century to not get one, so I'll be waiting.
Yeah, so many what ifs. Travel back to the Mets this season. What if DeGrom didn't get hurt? Lindor didn't get hurt? If their offense was just mediocre at best? We wasted the opportunity, and they didn't. So we battled adversity. They defeated it. So congrats to the Braves. I'm happy for Freddie Freeman, one of the nicest guys on the planet. And we're moving on to the offseason now. And as we get into our next topic, seriously, unbelievable. Yesterday, it was pretty quiet in Mets News Day, and everyone's favorite outlet, the New York Post, gave that concept the finger. So they dug up shit from May. And to recap this whole story back from May, the Mets had a commotion, I guess we're going to call it, in their dugout tunnel during a game back in May. It turned out to be between Jeff McNeil and Francisco Lindor, our two middle infielders. When asked about it later, Lindor said they were arguing about a raccoon or a rat, and it seemed all lovey-dovey. We love our chemistry. Don't trade anyone away, because even though we're choking the division like Jonah Hill on a Twinkie. Now, as reported yesterday, that isn't what actually happened. Apparently, McNeil was not shifting like he was asked to do, and Lindor grabbed McNeil by the neck and pinned him against the wall in the dugout. Now, I don't think anybody believed the initial story in May, because as I remember it, during that game, McNeil, he looked like he basically saw a ghost when he was talking to Alonso on the field afterwards. Now, there's been rumors floating around that maybe Zach Scott leaked this information about this whole situation after being fired a few days ago. We'll get to that a little bit later. But tons to unpack here. You can pretty much go like 5 different angles here. Should this story have a huge impact just 6 months later from when it came out? Does Zach Scott have anything to do with this story coming out? Is there a possible impact? Did this have a possible impact to McNeil's down year? Did this incident influence trading for Baez and moving McNeil to left field? Could Jeff McNeil be on his way out of Queens? So tons of other ways. Whatever take you got, give it to me. We'll start with Mets Talk with Hayden.
Yeah, so I wanted that. It was with the Diamondbacks that game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was live for that, so I remember that. That was really weird. So yeah, pretty much Mets fan, like you said, it was really just a ton of miscommunication in terms of positioning and the shift. We know that McNeil is a guy who, for the most part, was pretty fond on shifting, where a guy like Lindor, not so much. They clearly had their issues. Obviously, the inning before they went into the dugout/clubhouse, they let an error dribble right past them, no communication there. And apparently that created some tensions. I'm not in the clubhouse. I don't watch these guys on a day-to-day basis, so maybe my opinion isn't completely valid. But just from what I have seen, who is there to blame? Do you blame Lindor? Do you blame McNeil? I don't know. It's tough. I mean, you look at Jeff McNeil. He seems to have the type of personality that's selfish. Those are the vibes that I get. We see when he strikes out or when he makes a play that affects him, I feel he kind of just centers on himself. We'll see. He'll throw his helmet. He'll drop some F-bombs. He'll throw his hat. He'll throw his batting gloves. And I just really feel he seems to focus on himself rather than the Mets. So, I really feel that personality may not mix well with some guys. Lindor, on the other hand, one thing I find hypocritical, Lindor and Baez, they got upset at the fans for booing and thumbs down. But it's okay to commit aggravated assault and a misdemeanor on one of your fellow teammates. Okay, I see how that is. So, a little confusing there. I wasn't really crazy on how it was addressed. I mean, nobody believed this raccoon nonsense. I think 95, more like 99% of Mets fans believed it was fake. And you know what? Personally, I think they should have actually said something that happened. Maybe they should have not used, there was a physical altercation, but they could have said, tensions rose, it got a little chaotic, got a little loud, everything's all fine now, everything is all fine, it's all under control. Could there have still been some, tension, questioning after that? Absolutely. But it really would have eased the situation. Otherwise, I think it also has to have a big partake that there was no leader in the clubhouse. Obviously, there was really no leader in this Mets clubhouse this year. The manager's supposed to be the leader. And we see when Rojas was asked about it, he had no idea. So I think there was no leader in this clubhouse to really, get involved if there was, some animosity or tension going on. But just the whole situation really irked me with how the Mets handled it. And it likely was Zach Scott threw it under the bus. He got released and they said, let's release it. Why not? So pretty disappointing. Mets, they need to control their players.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a whole thing about like Jeff McNeil, kind of like that selfish type of demeanor that he has. I mean, when he first came up, I mean, you can see, he gets very frustrated and he gets very angry very easily. And, and I really thought that he would eventually grow out of that and stop, screaming at the top of his lungs. I mean, it's time to grow up eventually. I mean, I understand if you're a rookie or this, you make rookie mistakes, but I mean, now he's almost 30 now, right? I mean, it's time for him to it's time for him to grow up a little bit. I understand his frustration, his passion for the game, but sometimes he's got to have somebody there to calm him down. Frank, we'll go to you. This whole every question that I asked, what do you got on it?
Yeah, I think my main takeaway after hearing the full story and everything that actually happened is that it kind of changed the way I view Francisco Lindor a little bit, because I think that, when Lindor first came in and you see him, his nickname is Mr. Smile, and he's always hugging people. He seems like a really nice guy, very friendly, things like that. I would never think that, if Jeff McNeil was mad about shifting or mad about the way he's playing at the plate, or maybe both, that Jeff McNeil is throwing a temper tantrum in the dugout. And then all of a sudden you have Francisco Lindor grab him by the neck and put up against the wall. That just doesn't really match what I envision Lindor is like as a person. And I think that does play into, like Hayden said, when Jeff McNeil talked about there being no leadership in the clubhouse, that's not what a leader does. I talked about a few Mets Weekly ago when we first talked about this conversation about David Wright and how when Noah Syndergaard in that spring training game, he had that lunch and David Wright threw it in the garbage, said, that's not how we do things here. You're going to be in the dugout. You're going to be watching the game. That's what a leader does. He sets an example of how things go. He didn't hurt Noah Syndergaard. He didn't do anything significant. But the way Lindor handled it did no good. It ruined McNeil because you saw it afterwards. Their relationship between the two of them was never the same. It probably did have an impact with what happened with Javier Baez. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. I mean, we know Lindor loves Baez regardless, but I think that Lindor was not losing any sleep over Jeff McNeil being moved from second to left field, and he could communicate with Baez a little better up the middle. Maybe that's what he preferred all along, which would then play into the offseason of, okay, well, We still don't want to have McNeil and Lindor as a double play combo, so we re-sign Baez, have him play there, and leave Jeff McNeil, whether it's at left field or third base or right field or on the bench, wherever. But I do think there was some friction in the clubhouse, and then it kept spiraling, because now when you think more and more about it, then Baez comes in, and you saw Lindor kind of draw back a little bit from McNeil, from Alonso, from J.D. Davis and these guys. And he was kind of just hanging out with Baez in a corner. So, like, all of a sudden, just the whole – and they talk about the chemistry, everyone gets along. It really fractured everything. And I just think that they, McNeil and Lindor individually, never really fully recovered from it. So it is a bit unfortunate, and it just shows that the Mets truly do not have a leader. And, like, even though Francisco Lindor has played a longer time than Jeff McNeil, he's the one position player that has any playoff experience. Like you said, McNeil's actually older than Francisco Lindor. So it also shows that this offseason, if they could get a true vet, a guy that's probably being around his mid-30s, low 30s, that has, good experience and really could just set an example. I mean, they pretty much need the next Keith Hernandez, because we saw that, whether it's Michael Conforto or whoever, they're not vocal enough. Whoever's in-house is not as much of a leader as they should be, whether that's Pete Alonso or anybody else. So they need to get a really well-respected guy from outside of the organization that could do it. Could a manager do it? Maybe. But, I mean, is that Mike Schilt? Is that Beltran? Is that somebody else? I mean, who really knows? So I am very disappointed with Lindor, and I think that it just seems like a lot more stuff makes sense now that we know the full story.
Fat L. Thank you. Andrew.
Oh, I mean, at least we all know Lindor's a wrestling fan. Going for an Undertaker choke slam on McNeil, nothing wrong with that. Know your role, man. Just know your role. Just again, Wednesday after the World Series, come home from work, just want to watch AEW, and of course, this is what we got to talk about: is a report from 6 months ago, a story that they had for 6 months. Now let's just wait until the day after the World Series to drop this. Of course, this whole situation is just, again, it was a meme when it first started, and guess what? It's still a meme. Now you got memes of Lindor choking out McNeil, and it's pathetic, and it's just what this team is. And like Frank said, the leader needs to come in here. Who that could be, God knows. You want to bring a vet in here, but you also want to bring in a guy who can actually produce. You don't just want to have an old guy sitting on the bench. It's just kind of sad. McNeil, I think, has to go now. Like, even if let's say you bring back Baez, and yes, his value is lowest it's going to be, but if this is what is continuing, then there's going to be friction here. You've got, Shithead and McNeil against Baez, Lindor, and if there is a third guy coming, I doubt it, but, that's going to cut the clubhouse in half. You don't want to have the clubhouse in two parts. You don't want two houses. You want everybody at least get along at least. You don't, obviously, not everybody's going to be buddy, but you got to at least respect the guy next to you and not want to choke him out. So McNeil's got to go at this point. As much as I don't want it to be, I think I might have to go away for 10 minutes, but I'll be right back. Again, just get McNeil. Either McNeil needs to grow up like Mets fan said, or he's got to go.
And it would be a shame to lose somebody like Jeff McNeil, who is literally exactly what this lineup needs, because I know VR and Pilar are free agents right now, but those two guys are guys that are whiffing and chasing. And same with J.D. Davis, huge whiff guy. Javi Baez, massive whiff guy. So you just need one guy that puts the ball in play. And that's what Jeff McNeil does at a really well rate. So he fits what this lineup needs. And if you're going to trade him because of, we talked about don't make a move at the deadline because of chemistry. Now you're just getting rid of Jeff McNeil because of chemistry. It's just a complete switch of just everything we thought about this team.
I'm not really shocked that this happened because, again, like I said, McNeil basically looked like he saw a ghost afterwards, after basically everything unfolded when I was watching that game. Now, as for McNeil, believe me when I continue to say I have no idea what the Mets are going to do with him. And I think if he wanted out, he probably would have said it. But yet again, you have this whole made-up story being used in the process. So maybe they went up to McNeil and says, if you want out, let us know at the deadline and we'll make a deal. But that didn't happen. So we just don't know. And that's kind of been McNeil's thing all year, physically, mentally, and now socially. So it will be interesting to see how they do handle this. As for Lindor, he is supposed to be the leader. And he's established that He's not the biggest fan of the numbers and the shifting, and that's fine. But he said he's able to do it for what's best for the team. Now, McNeil does not have the right to just ignore what the coach is telling him. Granted, Luis Rojas was making those orders, but let's.
And DiSarcina was the one assembling the defense, and he's not even here anymore. So now here's our problem. Now their shifts might even change the way they position because now Zach Scott is gone. So I mean, you might have another GM who comes in, another manager who comes in. Now you're learning brand new shifts all over again.
Yeah, again, like putting that aside, putting the lack of coaching leadership aside. In my opinion, Lindor had every right to tell McNeil what to do given his generational defensive resume. He doesn't have the right to put his hands on someone's neck. Again, we don't know if McNeil said something to set him off. I'm not accusing or assuming anything, but these guys, at the end of the day, they both acted like 4-year-olds. This cannot happen in a baseball team. This can't happen anywhere. We don't need another Bonilla situation where he's fighting teammates constantly. So get your team chemistry together. That's apparently equivalent to Jesus's right testicle. So figure it out. All right.
One little thing I did want to quickly mention is, and it relates to Jeff McNeil. Personally, I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't get rid of McNeil. I think currently, right now, you could bring up the argument. Well, they haven't said anything about him, so it's likely he's staying. I think right now he's kind of just seeing what options he has. Obviously, he's not going to play second base. Play one of the corner outfields or be more of a Chris Taylor utility guy. And I mean, knowing Jeff McNeil, can you blame him? I mean, if I got into that situation, Baez comes in at the deadline, you get scooted away. Lindor starts to warm up with his buddy Baez, and you're in the outfield still struggling. Would you want to come back? You know, your front office pretty much forgets about you.
Yeah, I just don't. Again, I don't know what they're going to do with him, and it pains me to say because he is one of our homegrown. Yeah, I mean, it pains me to say because he is one of our homegrown guys, but like, I mean, if he's going to still be again, what Lindor did to retaliate was not good. But if he's going to, but Lindor's going to be here for the next 10 years. You don't really have a choice. So if McNeil keeps on reacting like this and he doesn't really, I hate saying grow up considering what Lindor did, but it's just like, I just don't know. I don't know how he's going to be able to handle things if he still keeps getting frustrated like this at 29, 30, 31 years old. Now listen, it's okay to be frustrated, but again, like you got to compose yourself a little bit. You're a professional athlete. So on to the next dumpster fire. Zach Scott is officially out. We saw this coming after the DUI 2 months ago. Now, Buster Olney, who basically looks like a Sesame Street character who overdosed on laxatives, always trashes the Mets no matter what. Now, I did not really have a response that I did not really see every response that he had on Twitter to most of Mets Twitter because, I'd rather eat expired dog food. But no one really can no one can really tell if he supports drunk driving or does it himself after, visiting the Church of Satanism, or if he's just willing to do anything to trash this team. I mean, what are the takeaways here? Because I don't understand this guy at all. We'll start with Andrew.
Again, the media against the Mets. It's kind of that easy. If there's a way to shit on the Mets, make the Mets look like a joke, piss off Mets fans, the media is ready to go. Here we go. What's the next thing? And I bet if the Mets were to hire Rachel, the Red Sox assistant GM, he'll be like, that's not a good hire. Because it'd be like, oh, the Mets trying to be progressive. Then it'd be like, nah, the Mets should have went with a dude. That'd be the type of shit that he would say. Again, it's the same thing with Ole. Passan throws these shots once in a while. Rosenthal, Heyman made a career out of making fun of the Mets. So it's nothing new. The media versus the Mets, and again, Scott. Again, we all kind of saw it coming once the DUI kind of came out, but there was a report that they wanted to keep him, but they came to their sentence and made the right decision, even if the media says otherwise.
All right. Well, Frank, Buster Olney, what the hell's wrong with him?
I have no idea what's up with him. I mean, ever since he bet the farm, things have on George Springer coming to the Mets. Things have just been on a downhill trend with Buster Olney. But what I want to talk about more so is Zach Scott, because Buster Olney is kind of like whatever at this point. I'm so used to it. I'm so used to a lot of the other national media members just and they literally took the screenshot of Buster Olney like, when Zach Scott first got the DUI, like, it needs to get rid of him. And then when they get him, they're like, well, you should have kept him. Like they literally showed screenshots side by side when it happened versus now. But my thing with Zach Scott was once he got released, they had talked about, okay, well, if the Mets can't find a president of baseball operation or they can't find a general manager, there is a chance that they could just bring Zach Scott back because they felt like he should have been the guy all along. And then once they got rid of him, it was like, wait a minute, did the Mets finally find somebody? They got rid of their, safety net, so per se, by getting rid of Zach Scott so they could bring someone else in. And we have absolutely nothing. Like we're not Mets aren't even close to getting anybody to replace Zach Scott or just get a president of baseball operations or a general manager. So now free agency is about to start, and Sandy Alderson has all of the roles. So I'm just very disappointed that they just got rid of Zach Scott, which I mean I don't blame them for. I'm okay with that, but I was hoping that they did it with the intention of okay, we got rid of Zach Scott because we have somebody else, and they don't have anybody else. So I'm just very disappointed with the whole situation. And again, and we kind of talked about it just the previous topic with Lindor and McNeil. It just always seems like it's something with the Mets. It's always some kind of article, whether it's Buster Olney, whether it's Mike Boone. I mean, whoever it is. I mean, everybody has their time just to bash on the Mets, and it's never about like actual baseball. I mean, the Mets suck. We get that, but it's like all this other stuff, and it's constant, and it's been for years, and I'm just so sick and tired of it.
Hayden, Zach Scott, Buster Olney, they both suck. What's going on with them?
It's nothing new. New York media. What else do you expect? Obviously, this was one of the most chaotic years that the Mets have had in quite a while. And obviously, the media was all over it. And New York. So what can you say? Big market city. Obviously, in terms of Zach Scott, it makes sense for, it's really unfortunate to see how this whole GM role really went down, everything from Jared Porter to Zach Scott. And I wonder who's responsible for that. I think some of us have some answers on that. But I think this is going to say to the Mets that they have to be more cognizant on who they want for the long term. This would be our 5th year where we have 5 managers. What would it be in GM? Like last 3 years, we've had 3 different GMs. So this is something that you need someone here for the long term. President of Baseball Operations, we're going to have a new one. Like you guys are talking about, Sandy Alderson is going to represent the Mets at the general managers meeting, which is in like around Thanksgiving, I think. That's going to be a disaster because now, I think I said this last stream, but I'm going to echo it again. Sandy Alderson, he could start making signings, whether that's giving a huge contract to Baez, giving the qualifying offer to Syndergaard or Conforto, or even signing a guy, whether that's Andrew Chafin, Nicholas Castellanos, Aaron Loop. Then as soon as we get that new president of baseball ops or the GM, how are we going to know how they feel about those moves? Are they going to like it? Whether it's the move, the price, the time, whatever. So that is my big concern, that you're coming into a season where you didn't even sign a quarter or maybe even half of the guys. So likely, I really think Sandy Alderson is probably going to be with the Mets next year. If he's still here now, Mets have made zero really progress. I mean, it's really reject after reject. I mean, like, I don't know. It's mind-boggling. It really is. I mean, I've probably been rejected by more girls than the New York Mets. Like, come on, what are we doing already? Crap, what else was I going to say? No, I'll come back to what else I had to say.
It's like he hit his peak with his girl line. He's like, I'm done.
All right.
No, realistic.
Yeah, there's some people asking what Olney did say about this whole situation. I just linked it into the chat if you want to lose your lunch. So, I'm just mesmerized by how committed this guy is to trashing this team. And every time that he gets called out, he gives out another reason for why his work is stupid. And the prime example of while all this was going on, Henry Ruggs from the Raiders got charged with a DUI and killed someone. And he keeps going and tries to defend his stupidity. He's probably still tweeting bullshit as we speak. Listen, no one luckily got hurt with Zach Scott's DUI. Thank you. Thank God. But you shouldn't look, shouldn't you look at what happened with Ruggs and say, oh, maybe I look like an idiot right now. And I'm not saying compare tragedies at all. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying is understand how fucking dangerous drinking and driving is and what it can turn into. I mean, you'd think a grown ass man would know that. You really think so? The bottom line is the wrong guy named Buster retired yesterday. I'm just so sick of and tired of this loser. He is so annoying. Okay, dumpster fire number 3. Now, oh God, our ace Jacob deGrom battled multiple injuries this year, which forced him to miss the entire second half of the season. Now, it was just reported that deGrom believes that the injury got worse by how he was instructed to hold his arm up during the MR. Dear God. So my question is, should we be concerned about Jacob deGrom's status in 2022? We'll start with Frank. Unbelievable.
I think so because, whatever happened in Pittsburgh with the MRI, that's one thing. But just throughout the whole season, this was a very weird year for deGrom. For all the times that, he got scratched from a start or he left the start early and then he had to miss one, then he'd come back and he only pitched 3 innings because he had to come out early again. It happened time after time. And then all of a sudden, deGrom got hurt right around, that Pittsburgh time period, right around the trade deadline in July. And then all of a sudden, deGrom did not come back at any point in the year. Then we had the whole, I talked about last week, the debacle with Sandy Olsen saying, oh, there's a tear. Oh, no, it's a bruise. Oh, there's ligament damage. Oh, it's not ligament damage. Oh, just all this different craziness. So I think the fact that we still do not know exactly what is wrong with Jacob deGrom and why he was unable to come back in the second half of the season, I am still worried because I think that, the way the human body works, as you age, it only gets harder to stay healthy. And if Jacob deGrom is going to continue to throw 102 miles an hour, there's probably a reason why starting pitchers don't consistently throw 100 plus, is because it's not healthy for the elbow. I mean, you're asking for an injury. You're just, it's going to happen. There's no other way around it. You are going to get hurt. So I think that if deGrom is going to continue to pitch 100 plus consistently with the elbow already kind of, iffy as it is right now, because we still, again, don't know exactly what is going on with him, I am still worried because I just didn't see him come back in the second half. And I mean, again, who knows? And they didn't do any procedures. So who knows if once he does ramp back up, does he need a procedure? Is he going to be missing starts again? So I definitely am concerned. And I really hope that deGrom is okay because I love watching him. I mean, when the Mets are bad, which is usually, you always at least have deGrom to watch. Okay, at least I get to see a really good pitcher, go for a Cy Young, do something historic because we're not going to see another Jacob deGrom, especially in Mets uniform, for a very, very long time. So anytime you don't see him, it is really sad, but I hope he's okay, but I wouldn't count on it at this point.
Hayden, should we be worried about his status in 2022?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously very concerning. I mean, the injuries for deGrom weren't, I mean, if you really look at it in the past, it wasn't really that terrible until we saw this year. And I mean, the first couple of months, we really saw him pitching a Hall of Fame type of style. I mean, we saw a typical slash line of 10 strikeouts, 2 hits, 0 runs in 8 innings, 7 innings. And, we were seeing his velocity really go out at his top high, 102. And I'm not talking about 102 in the 3rd inning when you're in your prime game. I'm talking about 102 in the 7th, 8th inning. That's great, but that's not normal. I mean, you're really going to be doing some damage on your rotator cuff, your elbow. And as soon as we hear, torn or slightly broken, tear. That doesn't sound good. Obviously, it was really kept secret this whole season. Zach Scott, the medical office, kind of just shoved it onto the table and said, okay, when can DeGrom come back? And I think that was pretty much in everyone's head is, when can he come back? When can he come up? When could he come back? Not, oh, when will he be better? What does it look like? There were so many secrets with this executive office this season. It drove me nuts. I didn't know what to believe with DeGrom. I was nervous that I would wake up in here torn ACL. Tommy John in the same sense. I don't want to hear that. Or I was going to wake up in here, DeGrom's going to be pitching today. Something has to change. I mean, overall with this medical office, next season, DeGrom hopefully should start. Hopefully he goes in spring training fine. We even saw in spring training he's throwing 102 miles per hour. I mean, that it's great, but you're going to have to find another way. You're going to have to lower the velocity a bit and change up your mechanics a little bit. I mean, obviously you don't want him to change his mechanics where he starts to decrease his value, but I mean, it's going to be something. Obviously the Mets re-signed Jeremy Hefner, so that's good. The two of them could definitely work this offseason together, spring training on how they could make DeGrom a better pitcher health-wise. Overall, should we be worried? Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say, overall, should we be worried? Not right now at the moment, but, if we go into spring training and he's, still chucking 102 miles per hour, then absolutely.
All right. Well, I guess we'll – oh, never mind. Okay. Andrew.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Jacob DeGrom's MRI. Should we be worried about his status?
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know this story even came out. But great. Just had this one when you said third. I'm like, was a third thing? So I didn't even see this. So this is great. Yeah, I guess you should always be a little concerned. Again, coming off the injury now, God knows what the MRI actually looks like. Because if he's gonna get messed up sitting in the chair and his arms getting messed up there, God knows what it looked like now. Yeah, I mean, you just got to give it time. Again, obviously, you don't want to rush him back because, again, you've already lost him for half a year. You don't want to lose one of the year. Also, he could be a free agent after the season. So, he's probably looking out for his bottom dollar, saying, hey, I don't want to lose another year of my career when I could get Garrett Cole money if I stay healthy and the Mets continue to suck. I can just opt out and go sign with the Yankees or Dodgers or somebody, whoever wants to give me Garrett Cole money. So, again, for Jake, it sucks. But hopefully, again, for the Mets' sake, come back clean, and hopefully if we have a spring training, he's back by spring training. But, lockout comes, so, extend the spring training to like June, July, and maybe, hell, we don't even play this year. So, avoid the whole season, and Jake can come back at age, 38? So.
Don't even bring that up.
Only the real ones know we could not have been.
I've been saying it for 6 months now.
I mean, yeah. For the time being, I'm not too concerned, but the next update can easily change that. And we know DeGrom. He knows his body better than anyone. He said his ligament was fine, so that's where I'm at right now. So as long as he doesn't need that surgery that we fear in every pitcher, he should be fine. But again, this is the Mets, and the baseball gods fucking hate us. So, again, we need him every 5 days. He's our best player. He's our best pitcher. He's the best pitcher in baseball. So it's obviously something very, very significant. And we definitely, I hope he's fully healthy next year, because he deserves a fully healthy season. And, it's an honor to watch him pitch every 5 days when he's healthy. So let's get into some free agency stuff and talk about Michael Conforto. So right now, the Mets have about a few days left to extend a qualifying offer to anybody they desire. Now, Syndergaard, it seems like the most possible. There's been a little bit of talks like today where like they might do like a lower deal or something, kind of like a Clevenger deal, as we've been talking about before. Obviously makes sense.
When did that come out?
From Tommy John surgery. When that come out, I think that was like an hour ago, 2 hours ago, something like that.
We'll have to Google.
The other possibility with the qualifying offer is Michael Conforto. Coming off of a down year, the expectation is that he probably will reject it. He's a Boris client. We all know the full story. So if Michael Conforto rejects the qualifying offer, Who is your first choice to replace him in right field? Let's start with Conforto's biggest fan, Frank About Sports.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to see Michael Conforto go. I mean, that would not bring me any joy. I don't want to lose any homegrown Mets unless, again, the price is astronomical. I mean, I'm not saying give Conforto $200 million. So if someone offers him $200 million, then he has to go. That's just the way that this team is set up right now financially. As far as like number one option to replace him, the guy that I would like to replace him is not realistic. But what I will say is that there are options for the Mets. I mean, it's not like Conforto or nothing. It's not like if you don't get Conforto, there's nobody out there. There are some good players out there, whether you want to move a utility guy over to a corner, maybe like a Chris Taylor or a Mark Canha, and then other days have them play other positions. You could do that. You could get a center fielder and move Nimmo over to right field. So you could do a few different things. But if you could get him on the cheap, and I mean the really cheap, I don't think Adam Duvall is a bad option. I mean, you saw this guy do really well in the postseason for Atlanta. The whole season he was good, especially when it came to one of my favorite stats, RBIs. It's never Michael Conforto struggled. For whatever reason, he did. Adam Duvall, he's going to strike out, but he just finds a way to drive in runs. And that's what the Mets needed. They struggle so much with runners on base. If you could get a guy that could do it at a really cheap cost, that plays a good outfield, unlike Castellanos, and is going to do it, like I said, at the cheaper cost that allows you to keep Marcus Stroman, allows you to keep Javi Baez, keep Noah Syndergaard, maybe make some space for extensions, whether that be Alonso or Nimmo, or if you want to do any other external things like picking up Andrew Chafin, or maybe you're going to need other bench players now that Pilar is gone. We don't know what's happening with VR, so the bench is wide open as well. So the Mets have a lot of things they need to do, and if giving me that financial flexibility of Duvall while also getting a good amount of production, I think he'd be a pretty solid, cheap option.
Okay. The GM himself, who do you want in right field if Conforto rejects the qualifying offer?
Well, if this question was asked for the year after, you know my answer if you've seen me on Twitter. But I will say I will sign a stopgap, like I think Frank said, because there's some options, there's some actually some tremendous options. You look at Jock Peterson, really good, Jorge Soler, Adam Duvall. But I think there's one guy who's really good, is Mitch Haniger. And if there's a trend, I know that Frank didn't pick up on the trend I was trying to make, but again, Jorge Soler, his 99's on the mind. Mitch Haniger hits a lot of homers, just like Michael Conforto. When he's healthy, seems to average 30 homers a year when he's healthy. And that's one of the bigger things is he's never healthy this past year. The year before this year was hurt. This year, back to being what Mitch Haniger is 30 homers. And I will remember this very well. Seattle, the second to last game of the year, because obviously we all know they choked game 162. Game 161, they needed to win. They're down 4-0, and Mitch Haniger has all 6 RBIs needed for the game-winning, the Mariners to win, including a game-winning 2-run double in the 8th inning. Very clutch, but also he always seems to have a good Tops Now card every year. Mets team, Mitch Haniger has got a better swing than Michael Conforto. That swing is money. Power hitter, right field. He's going to be terrible defensively. I know. Not the greatest defensively in right field, but you know what? You can find a defensive replacement to hide on the bench who's fast. You can do maybe don't do Billy Hamilton, but a guy similar to Billy Hamilton with good defense. You can put him in late, kind of like what you did with Khalil. There you go, cheap and don't have to spend money. There you go, Frank, out here making some good moves. But yeah, if I can't have Chris Bryant, which again that would be my number one option, but I have to go with the meme, MLB The Show legend Mitch Haniger.
Hayden.
Nothing. Okay.
Who's your number one choice in right field?
Well, obviously, I think it's likely Conforto's going to reject the qualifying offer. I mean, it's really unfortunate. He's been with this team since 2015. He's been with us since really everything. He's one of the longest tenured players on this team. That's an offensive piece. And, it really sucks to see him leave. Potentially because, we saw his last home game at Citi Field. He was so emotional. So, if you're so emotional and you're really passionate about your city, your team, your friends / players, your fan base, you think you would just accept the 1 year, it was like $18.4 million. You think you would accept that for a year rather than say, oh, no, I need millions more. Listen, I get he's a Scott Boras client. Great. That's awesome. He is the guy who will try to convince his players to lean towards free agency. Strasburg, Harper, I think even at A-Rod. So that really makes sense. In terms of outfielders, there's not a whole lot that stand out, especially at a lefty bat. It's really just Conforto for the most part. Kyle Schwarber's a guy, but obviously defensively, he's really not that great. Low AAA, defensive run saved, not really the best place, and you really have nowhere to put him. I mean, you could maybe throw him at first if you give Alonso the day off. He's pretty much just another Pete Alonso 2.0. He's going to hit a ton of home runs. Do you really need another power hitter? And then, I mean, obviously, listen, you got your guys, Mitch Haniger, your more utility guys, Chris Taylor, Starling Marte, Mark Canha, Eddie Rosario, I believe Tommy Pham. We know the Phillies just declined Andrew McCutchen, but that's kind of a silly move. Personally, I would have no problem whether it's, you bring in a guy like Starling Marte and then maybe you shift Nimmo over one. Depending if McNeil's still here, that could be there. If Chris Taylor comes, he can take a couple days out there. But overall, my number one and my most realistic choice that I think could happen is Starling Marte. Definitely has some great food in the outfield.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Starling Marte is definitely on my radar as a possible guy to bring in. I know they were talking about him trading Nimmo for him, which would have been a fucking disaster. But my number one choice to replace Michael Conforto is Michael Conforto. I'm sorry. This guy is unfinished business here in Queens, and you can't deny it. Now, I want the Mets to at least try and bring him back if he doesn't accept the qualifying offer. And we always ask the additional question when it comes to free agents. Can they do it in New York? Yeah, Michael Conforto can.
Yes,
and the Michael Conforto we saw this year isn't him. But like I said, when he struggles, he always finds a way to have some kind of consistency offensively. He always finds a way to contribute with his bat. Now, I want people to give him a chance to prove himself. He was injured 2 months of the season, and also people forget the guy had COVID before spring training. Now, listen, the revenge tour is going to happen, all right? But let him do it with the team that drafted him. He's my number one choice. After that, I don't know.
Frank, do you want or do you want me to go?
I'm just going to say that, do you want to keep Stroman and Baez, Carson?
Do you like good players?
Again, I want to work out a team-friendly deal with him. If they can't come to an agreement there, then you go somewhere else.
Yeah, with Boris, I don't think he is going to take any team-friendly deals. That's the problem.
Again, it's all Conforto's choice at the end of the day. And again, it's very unlikely, but I'd like for them to at least try to keep him after the qualifying offer.
Again, once the Braves gave him $200 million, they'll get involved.
Don't do a Zach Wheeler thing. And that's all I ask. So he's my number one choice. I don't think he's coming back at all, but he's my number one choice to be in right field for the Mets in 2022. So now, this is our final piece of news. Gary DiSarcina is officially leaving the organization. He will become the third base coach for the Nationals. Now, for this segment, I'm going to give the floor to Frank About Sports, and I'm going to let him give his thoughts on losing his future best man at his wedding. And so, Frank, should we go full screen for Frank, or we'll keep it like that? You want to do that? Hold on here. Actually, we'll do this. Let's see.
That's not me. There he is.
There we go.
All right. Well, when it's all said and done, this might go down as one of the Mets' best offseason moves in quite some time, especially because you're going to a division rival in the Washington Nationals. So you just gave yourself a huge advantage in those scenarios where it looks like, maybe Juan Soto's about to score. But wait, Gary DiSarcina holds him up. Even though it's an easy run, he's going to hold them up. You get another chance to get out of the inning. Then when you have ones that you really shouldn't send a guy, like when you're in Fenway Park, that's the time you send them and you make sure that they get thrown out. So he always has the wrong decision when to send them, when to not send them. He has no idea. And then also Nationals are not going to be playing the right spots in the infield. So all those times you're like, oh, the shift. Oh, so unlucky. You're going to have wide open base hits. There will be nobody there because Gary DiSarcina does not know where to put the players. So now the Mets can actually maybe score some more runs and then finally have a better offense and win more games. So this definitely is a huge move for the Mets. I mean, massive, enormous move to have Gary DiSarcina leave and especially go to a division rival. But what I will say in all seriousness is they have to capitalize on it with getting a manager that is a little bit more aggressive because Gary DiSarcina, all he was doing was just relaying Luis Rojas' message of being scared, being conservative, never taking a chance. So if you bring in a manager that's conservative, your third base coach is going to be conservative. So you got step one in getting rid of Gary DiSarcina. You got step two, getting rid of Luis Rojas. But then you got to replace them with people that are not as conservative. So I'm very excited, though. At least that's something I don't have to yell about anymore. No more, tweets in all caps. No more talking bad about DiSarcina in the group chat. So I'm just very excited about it.
Oh, my God. Now, there's one guy who is available. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
Is Ron Washington available?
Mm-hmm.
Ron Washington, come on.
I mean, listen, former coke addict. I mean, listen.
No, we get Dykstra to play
That's
third base, though.
aggressiveness.
We got to get Dykstra. It makes more sense.
Dykstra is the first.
I'll be
No,
back.
he's gonna be the leader of our media team. I think that's.
Oh,
that's
wonderful! I'd be.
All right.
That is-
Anybody want to add anything on Gary DiSarcina? Because this guy's a war criminal. We're happy to see him go.
Yeah, it's about right.
So,
Go ahead, Hayden.
obviously, really good to see DSAR crap a go. Obviously, I was not super fond of him at times because he's the reason that Pete Alonso didn't have 100 RBIs. You know how many base hits and singles this guy had when they were runners in scoring position? And he's like, no. Like, Alonso could have easily got 100 RBIs. Nimmo could have got some more RBIs. There, Andrew, I made you a bit happier. I don't know if there's a stat that says how many runs that could have been scored, but it's definitely high double digits that could have been scored. I mean, this guy just had no urgency when the season was collapsing, when this team was not able to score runs. They weren't doing anything. I heckled him at Lone Depot Park. I saw him live not send Dominic Smith on, I want to say it was Alonso that got a base hit, and he didn't send him. He would have been safe by 10 years. It was Lewin Brinson in center field on the warning track, picking it up, and he stopped him. So, yeah, DiSarcina, goodbye, adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, ciao, goodbye.
You know there's going to be something next year against the Nationals, like a crucial game, and he's going to make the right decision or something. And like,
No, Alcides Escobar is going to blow past those stop sign. You know it's going to happen.
oh yeah.
How many times
Oh,
Escobar?
could you imagine if he holds up Alcides Escobar or something like on an inside the park home run?
Like
That'd be
home
like the
run. No,
biggest.
you can't go.
That'd be the biggest troll ever. Could you
That
imagine?
would
Oh
be
my
it.
God, Andrew, you have anything you want to add on DiSarcina? Like,
I mean, I guess I could put, because like we're not going to talk about it, and as a Puerto Rican, I'm very sad to see it. If Bonus was a part of DiSarcina, I would have kept DiSarcina just to keep Ricky Bones around. Selfishly, because I need that Puerto Rican picture done, and he's a part of that picture. So but it is in West Palm, so it is doable. But again, who cares? I kind of wish he stayed just to see Frank about rage on Twitter. You know, those are funny, but besides the point, for the Mets winning games, cool. Go get me Lenny Dykstra, or go get me like Billy Hamilton as the third base coach, because he loves running. He'll just run everybody. So
yeah, I will be doing my research to see if there's anything like runs.
Fangraphs not have
like-
the important stuff, like the stuff we really need. The Fangraphs is so unclutch. I mean, it really
exactly.
They have,
He
they have a clutch rating, so it's not bad.
but that's fake. That's totally fake.
There's umpire runs created. I'm pretty sure they have something like that.
Okay, umpire.
Yeah.
Because
I'm gonna see if they do have like something like
It has
runs
to be
like
good
yeah,
base
runs
running and bad base
created
running.
by like
metrics.
coaches or something. There's got to be something like that. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I love
it's
stats.
nerd numbers. That's not me and Frank don't care about nerd numbers. So.
No.
Yeah, the only
The
passion
eye
I
test
pretty
tells me all I
much
need to know
yeah.
about DiSarcina.
100%.
The only The only life that I saw from DiSarcina was when weren't we pretty much out of the race and he like punched something at Fenway or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
that's
went.
Lonzo one.
Little hop
When
back.
Lonzo thrown out, we finally sent someone.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. It's another guy that just needed to go. And it's just you need a new style. It's enough already.
Yep.
So now let's get to a game of tonight because we're good on time right now. So let's do a game called This or That. Now how this works, we have 4 different adjectives for 4 different debates. And these adjectives today are funnier, stupider, cooler, and weirder. Now, I have 2 events in Mets history that these guys will debate on the round table, as per usual, on which one is more of that adjective. It'll make a lot more sense once we start it off. So we're going to start off with funnier of some stuff here, funny stuff. So which one would you guys would say is more funnier? Mr. Met flipping off Mets fans in 2017 or Bobby Valentine's dugout disguise after being ejected? Guys in the chat, you guys can answer this as well. Give your reasoning. We'll start with Andrew. Which one's more funnier?
The fact that Mr. Met does what most Mets fans want to do to Mets fans, that had me weak as hell. And I had that picture, and I probably sent that picture in God knows how many group chats. The fact that a guy he doesn't have like 3 fingers. I guess he does have a middle finger, but that is
whichever one's middle in relation to the rest of his fingers.
Exactly. Like he does have a middle finger, but that's iconic. I mean, they sell shirts with it. Like, it's literally hysterical that a mascot's flipping off the fan base, and even the mascot knows his fan base just sucks. So it's got to be Mr. Met flipping off.
Pretty tough.
Oh God, that was Frank. Which one's funnier?
I actually got to take Bobby Valentine only because I remember when the Mr. Met thing happened, it became another like law Mets thing, another scandal. Oh, look how bad the Mets are. Just a whole bunch of bashing the Mets. And like I talked about earlier, I'm so tired of that. But Bobby Valentine to be that creative to like all these like, oh yeah, want to throw me out of a game? Watch, it's just a disguise on and stand in the dugout. Like, really, you think no one's gonna recognize you? I mean, the fact that he was willing to do that instead of like, I got thrown out. I'm going back to the clubhouse. Forget this. Screw this umpire. I mean, just the fact that he was willing to do that is really funny to me, and it's just a moment you'll never forget. And it's lighthearted. No, it's not like Mr. Met. Like it was a long Mets thing. By Valentine's, something you can always have a good laugh about. Mr. Met now, it's funny, but at the time, I remember like not being too amused. I was pretty just like frustrated because the Mets at that time were doing really, really bad. It was just one of those really disappointing years, and it was just more fuel to the fire pretty much at that point in the year.
2017 sucked, man. That was pretty bad. Hayden, which one is funnier? Which one do you got here? Mr. Met flipping off Mets fans or Bobby Valentine?
I mean, for the most part, I like to flick off some players that don't perform well. So, I mean, that sticks with me. And then disguising yourself. I mean, if I were to go to stadiums and heckle fans, I'd probably have to disguise myself because I get banned like a certain famous Met celebrity. I mean, Mr. Met flipping off the fans was pretty funny because, like, it's a mascot, and what was that, 2019?
No, it was
2017.
It was 17.
Hell.
All right, so 2017.
Hell year. Yeah.
So that pretty much is like how the whole Mets organization was ran. Bobby Valentine getting ejected and then going back in the dugout, throwing a fake mustache on and glasses and like a different ball cap was pretty funny. I'm going to go Bobby Valentine.
Okay. I think I'm a little bit loyal to Mr. Met flipping off the fans, and I think maybe, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's in my Mets Killers video thumbnail, which Frank About Sports was in. But I mean, it pretty much expresses how we felt that year. It's how we feel right now, actually. Yeah, I can't. I don't know. It's especially when you just have the smiling face of Mr. Met and you see the middle finger along with it. It's just perfect. It's like, hey, man, it's just I think I would go with Mr. Met flipping off Mets fan mainly because I wasn't able to see the Bobby Valentine thing live. I think if you experienced it live, it probably would have been a lot better. There's no statistics around that, so you can't really experience it anyway. So I'm gonna go with Mr. Met flipping off the fans because that was hilarious because both the Mets sucked that year and Mets fans, a lot of them suck. All right, so we're gonna move on to stupider. Now, there's been a lot of stupid things, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go give two here. There was a time in spring training where Cespedes was just he was just looking at a ball in play. He just looking at it. And it was an inside the park home run, and it was basically visible. And then there was something today this year where Pete Alonso described his Jesus Christ. Oh, nice 2 R's. Yeah, what a dork. Okay. And then Pete Alonso, he had this thing where he's like, 2020 for me it was like eating a poop sandwich, and you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, all right, Pete, go back in the clubhouse. So Frank about sports, which one was stupider? I mean, one was in spring training. Both of them were in spring training, but
this one's pretty hard because I kind of expect both from both guys. Like, I expect Cespedes to occasionally just fall asleep and go up in the outfield because I've seen him do that multiple times. And I've also seen Pete Alonso say some really dumb stuff in post-game press conferences multiple times. So if we're just comparing these two examples, I'd probably lean Alonso because, I mean, who really would even eat a poop sandwich? How does he even know what that tastes like? So I probably lean there, but they're both pretty bad. I think what's even worse for Pete Alonso is the don't believe no. That one, I still am trying to figure out what he was going for. Like the poop sandwich, we all understand it. The who don't believe no, I don't get it. I'm still just can't wrap my head on what he was going for, what he actually meant to say. So it's pretty bad on both ends.
All right. Well, Andrew, you have a window here. I'm giving it to you. Which one was stupider?
All right. So do we have Cespedes misplaying a ball in a spring training game? To be honest, it was a spring training game against the Cardinals. Yeah. Don't know why Tommy Pham had it. I think we all remember that play, or my buddy Pete Alonso, the smartest man on the planet Earth, and his poop sandwich. You had a lot of quotes.
Really good school.
Yeah, he wasn't there for brains because he can hit a baseball pretty far. It's like, okay, besides the point. You could have used the WRC Plus book. I just saw that one. I was dying. I didn't know what WRC Plus was. That had me on the floor.
But did you see the other players that didn't know the stats? I mean, Walker Buehler had no idea what, fit meant.
Well, Nimmo knew.
Yeah, Nimmo knew exactly. The captain knew. The captain knew.
Wyoming education, man.
Wyoming education. He didn't go to Florida just to. Oh, I can't say that. I was going to say something very not politically correct in 2021.
Right, we're going to end the stream right now, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I called myself before I said it, but yeah, you got to have Tub with about 6 IQ saying poop sandwich because Pete, you probably would eat a poop sandwich.
I don't get it, man. So your favorite player, Hayden, or I don't know, or Cespedes staring at a ball. Which one was stupider?
It's tough. I'm gonna say Cespedes staring at the ball. That was pretty dumb. I mean, we saw the ball was hit, went literally under, not even under the wall. Like, this was the wall and this was the bottom, and it was literally like right here. And he was like, oh, wait. And then the umpire literally went up to him, kicked the ball out, and was, talking to him a little bit. I'm going to say that was pretty dumb. Alonso with the poop sandwich was pretty funny, but I think the Cespedes thing was just dumb because you get paid to play, not make jokes. Like, you Your job is to play ball,
Yeah.
not give
And
conferences.
Cespedes, I could actually kind of understand what he was going for, because if you remember in
Yeah.
2015 when the Mets played the Cubs, every single time a Mets player hit a ball in the outfield, a Cub player would just not go for it,
World
go in
Series.
the Ivy and just give up. Which, I mean, the Mets don't have the Ivy in spring training, obviously, but still, like, that is kind of a rule in baseball. If a ball is stuck, it's ground rule double. You could just throw the hands
Yeah.
up, say, "Oh, I can't get it." So I understand what
Yeah.
Cespedes was going for, but it was still a pretty foolish play because he
It's
was
fair,
literally
like it's
standing just
visible.
watching
Yeah.
the guy go. Which I feel like I've seen the Mets do plenty of times. I mean, J.D. Davis did it this year in Pittsburgh when Taijuan Walker was arguing, and J.D. Davis just like, being a little, I don't know, hall monitor or crossing guard. Like, oh, yeah, you want to score? Go ahead. Oh, you want to score? Yeah, go ahead to it. J.D. Davis was standing there on the third baseline. So I really can't say I'm surprised.
The best shot of that whole Cespedes thing was him just looking at like the umpires being like 2. Just like, and he was doing that for like a good 15, 30 seconds. You're like, what the fuck is what? Pick the ball up, dude. It just, I don't know. And I think I made a Twitter post about this. And I was like, I think this was the point where we should have realized that Cespedes was an idiot. And that was like right then and there. He probably should have been like, okay, no, what are you doing here? I'm going to go with Pete Alonso because here's the thing. I'm getting while this spring training content is coming out. I mean, you see all these things about Lindor and you see these things about Nimmo, and like they're all talking about like things about their game. Then they ask Pete Alonso the same questions, and he's just like, "Okay, Pete, where are you going with this? Like, what? Like, it's just there's some times where like he like Pete, he just opens his mouth, and you're like, okay, Pete, go in the clubhouse. It's enough. We love you. You can hit balls. You can't really do anything else. Just, it's enough." I could not understand. I mean, we could get it. I mean, obviously, feces are not good. So, but let's be real here. Like, what is he saying? Like, he can't just say, oh, it was tough for me. It was this, it was that. No, eating a poop sandwich. Okay, great. It sounds like one of my analogies. Like, it just like, where the hell did this come from? Okay, now let's get out of the comedy for a second and let's talk about cool. Let's use the eye test here. Cooler. What was cooler? Luis Guillorme's bat catch in spring training or David Wright's barehanded catch in San Diego? That was kind of the one that put David Wright on the map, I'm pretty sure, that catch. We'll start with Andrew. Which one was cooler?
That's a good question. How does this follow this stupider question? There should have been a gap here. I'd say the Guillorme, because you would say that it's harder to catch a baseball, but it's smaller. But the way he just went, like, nonchalantly, Nimmo's running for his life. He's running for a sandwich. And, like, what's it called? TJ Rivera was sitting next to him, like, oh, my God. And Louis just like, all right. Like, how gangster can you be to be like, hey, take a bat back?
Yeah. All right. Which one was cooler, Frank?
Yeah, I agree with Andrew. Like you said, because the way Guillorme caught it, and then he acted like as if it was nothing. Like, none of us could do that. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, a barehand catch, like, it's cool. It was a really good play by David Wright. You've seen it. You've seen other players do it. The bat catch like that?
We haven't. You did.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I've seen a lot of barehanded catches back in the day, but that's besides the point. But the way Guillorme just caught it, you just don't see stuff like that. And Guillorme, as time has progressed, has continued to do stuff like that. And when we talk about just straight up cool, like Andrew said, like just that mentality of like, I'm unfazed by this bat coming at me. I mean, that's as cool as you could get. Like, I wish I was that cool, you know what I mean? So I definitely got to lean Guillorme.
Well, the barehanded catch, I mean, Frank, were you there when they started just using gloves? Like, was that a little bit after?
Listen, the gloves back then were much tougher than they are now. I mean, it was basically just like putting just like another hand, pretty much. Like, there wasn't much webbing
Plastic
in there,
bag.
so
it's a milk carton. You got the milk carton gloves.
Exactly. So, I mean, it was much tougher, but I'll lean Guillorme.
That's a shout, man. That reference is a shout right there. All right. Hayden, which was cooler, Guillorme or David Wright?
Yeah, that's also tough because David Wright, that was, I think, the catch of the year, voted by whatever big-time sports company it was back then. What was it, at 04, 05? And yeah, like you said, that was kind of like the catch that kind of made him stand out. I think it was when he was a rookie he made that catch. So, I mean, that's good. It's kind of hard to do unless you're like Willie Mays going like, I mean, that was really something barehanded like that. I mean, we have seen that a couple times. Who was it from the Marlins, the right fielder? Crap, he did it this year where it was a foul ball right on the foul line. And he just went like, and caught it barehand. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. But I'm going to go the Luis Guillorme bat just because, I mean, you had such a time to react to that. It was like, and then it was literally like 10 seconds, not even to react. And the fact that he just stood there and went when everyone else was just like ducking for cover. So I think that was pretty badass.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the bat catch as well for Guillorme, and this is my guy right here. But like again, I remember seeing somebody react to it, and I don't know who it was. They reacted to him doing that, and he's like, they were like, holy crap, and they were like, is that dude been to war or something?
Bro, you pull a Troy Dan reference? Okay,
is that Troy? Was that Troy?
Yeah, it's Troy. It was Troy.
Oh, so he was like, has this dude been to friggin' Vietnam? It was like, it was fucking cool.
It's not that question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He does these folk hero things, and you're like, what is this? Like, you see him, he's juggling, and you see him, he's doing like the 22 pitch walk this spring training. I mean, he just does all these cool like things, and it's like, how can you not like this? Now listen, David Wright's my favorite player of all time, but oh man, it was so cool. It was so cool, and I loved every single moment of it. He's a spring training hero, and
he has the most walks in it. The most what is it? The biggest count.
Which isn't an at bat.
Yeah, in the spring training.
Paul
so
Young had like something around there too.
25. So Luis Guillorme is the spring training MVP in my eyes, making bat catches. I mean,
hell yeah,
being Brandon Nimmo.
We got BP. We have the batting practice king and the spring training king. Man, we're lit, man.
Yeah, what is the Nimmo?
I like it. All right, final one here. Oh God. Okay. Weirder. Now, we all know the story about Cespedes.
Where's this going?
Chased by a wild boar.
Is it the boar?
Okay. Cespedes got chased by a wild boar, or Kevin Plawecki's. Okay, we're gonna try to keep this PG.
Oh yeah.
Mini baseball bat.
RIP my channel. Just
exactly. It's a mini baseball. Just call it a mini baseball bat. There it is.
Yeah.
His
cylinder object in his locker. Hayden, what's more weird?
And it's funny because if you just read the chat, someone commented something very relevant to that. Honestly, I'm gonna go with the Kevin Plawecki locker, and we'll keep it very vague. I mean, getting chased by a wild boar. Like, I understand these players sign contracts that they won't like ride a motorcycle or get chased by moose or boars or anything. I don't know. Sure, yeah. I guess if you're going to the north of the equator, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. Obviously, that was weird, but I think the Plawecki locker was just like, why? And okay, yeah.
All right. Frank, which one's weirder?
Yeah, I also gotta go Plawecki. Yeah, I mean, because I remember there was a thing with Cespedes where they showed a video of him. He was talking about being out in the woods and actually catching wild boars. Like, it's a thing that he does. So the fact that one of these days he got chased by one doesn't surprise me, because when you're catching wild boars, occasionally they could chase you back. So I was not surprised. But this Kevin Pilecki thing, like, I don't know why it happened at the time, and I still don't know why it happened now. Like, I mean, I know they just did it to mess with him, but still, like, it came just out of nowhere, and it's really something that you'll never forget. And it was just like, what are we doing? You know, so I still want to know who even did it. Like, who was the one that placed this object at Pilecki's locker?
It
So
had to be Noah Syndergaard. There's just no way.
yeah,
right?
Noah's a really
It had
good
to
guess
be-
because him and Pilecki are friends, and Noah is a bit of a jokester. So that's a good guess, but it was really just wild.
I thought the reporter said it was Harvey.
Was it Harvey? Oh my
I thought it was
God.
Harvey because they made like somebody reported it was Harvey, but
I don't know. Noah sounds more realistic.
whoever has it is sus. So whoever bought
Yeah.
The
it,
people in the chat are asking what happened in his locker. Look it up and look at your own risk. That's
yeah,
all I'm
look,
saying.
make sure your family doesn't go through your phone. About
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some
Oh,
young people in the
God.
chat. Please don't.
We have kids, yeah.
Don't even.
Yeah. We'll just say it was a object that shouldn't have been in a baseball
In the clubhouse.
locker
Yeah,
room.
in the clubhouse.
Andrew, which one's weirder here?
Wait,
Well,
what
I
was
mean-
next? It wasn't a TJ Rivera because it was right next to his locker.
Who
It was the picture of TJ.
I think
Rivera
I think
after
it was
they won.
TJ's
Yeah.
locker, but it was Pilecki was the picture was taken of Pilecki. Well, as a Missourian, how hunting bowlers isn't, that's not weird to me. That's a casual Saturday. So, I think this infamous picture. Who, again, I didn't even notice it. I totally forgot about it. And then you bring it up, and there's the picture right back in my head, and I'm like, I did not need that on a Thursday night. Thanks. Yeah, you got to go Claw Dog and his I'm not. Let's not make that reference, but let's go Claw Dog.
Yikes! Oh,
It was Matt Harvey.
man. I mean, it was Matt
It
Harvey.
was. Yeah, it was. Said it was.
I mean, it makes sense. Harvey back then was, sorry, we can't talk about that. We're
What
French now.
What the fuck? Hold on. What was Harvey doing? Like what?
A lot of things.
Can we think of the process? Like he's well known at that point. Like he was one of the best pitchers in baseball at that point. I mean,
that was
he was on the rise. 2017.
17. That was after his injury. That was before he got traded from Mesoraco.
He came back though, right?
No, but he came back, but then he got traded from Mesoraco. Remember?
Yeah, once he got
Exactly.
traded, he never came back.
He never came back. Yeah, like he pitched like
No. He came back after the Tommy
Yeah,
John,
he came-
right?
yeah, and then he stopped.
No,
and
he
then,
had the was that the thoracic outlet syndrome year?
Yep.
Could have been that procedure. 2017 or 2018. Yeah.
2018.
Oh, no, he
Devin
was starting
Mesoraco
16.
was
No,
a
he was
Met.
starting
That's all I
16.
remember.
He was starting 16.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, could you imagine, like, I don't want to say selling the thing to him, but like the person behind the counter, like,
Yeah.
hey, that's Matt Harvey. What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like-
I'm not making jokes now.
Whatever.
Down, but
Whatever.
I have a few jokes ready to go, but I'll keep that. That'll be on the OnlyFans.
All right. Jesus Christ, dude. We. It was. Oh my God. Okay. Now we have some really good time right now, and I have my closing segment that we're going to do every week from now on, and it's going to be pretty fun, I think.
Not really.
So if you guys have some questions that you want to answer us,
Answer us.
if you want,
Nice.
yeah.
Word.
If you guys have some questions,
Stop
that
thinking
you want
about
us to answer
Pilecki.
after this, we will. But let's continue as through Mets Weekly. We're going to start giving kind of some like spotlight segments to each one of us. Kind of play to each one of our content. Andrew with his GM stuff, Frank, some like Frank about takes, off the top of his head, somewhat like that. You guys let us know what you want us to do. Yeah, Hayden rant or something, So every week I will be doing a segment at the end of the show called Carson's Criteria. Now, if you guys didn't know, my name is not Mets fan or Mets fan from YouTube. It's
Or
Carson.
Tub.
So hi, nice to meet you. And now I will be giving my top 5 of a specific Mets category. Once I'm done, these guys will basically be able to rip the list to shreds. Tell me what they agree with, what they disagree with. Let's hope this doesn't get heated. First ever.
I'm ready to go.
First ever Carson's criteria is going to be it's going to be the top 5 most underrated Mets of all time. Now, I do have to fix this up here. So if you guys want to like carry away a conversation of any news that pops out for just a second, because I'm just trying to set this up real quick.
How about Luis Rojas becoming Bob Melvin's assistant in San Diego?
Jesus Christ.
That's pretty interesting.
Yikes.
Well, what the hell?
Okay.
Or, Brett Beatty having more RBIs in the last week than Carlos Correa.
Not in the World Series, and some.
Hey, they're playing baseball in October and November.
Zach Greinke had more hits than Yordan Alvarez in the World Series. That's just crazy.
After Yordan just had won ALCS MVP.
He got his 99. He
had his Daniel
job.
Murphy. Great championship series. Then the World Series, not so much.
Tucker Barnhart getting traded to Detroit.
Tigers, yeah. Tigers, I think, are definitely going to be Tigers and Marlins are definitely going to be buying this offseason. So they're going to be competing. And I mean, the Tigers, they have all their prospects up. So, I mean, I said, guys like Verlander would be good.
Oh, it's this graphic. I was like, who the fuck is? I was like, who's coming in?
All right.
Okay, you might want to make that big. That's what she said.
Like that? No. How can we do that?
That's what she said.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just trying to.
So you make your
echo
yeah,
going on
make
here.
that How many tubs does it take to figure this out?
I don't know.
Here it is. Here we go.
You got it?
I got it.
Nope.
Okay, then you could do.
There we go.
Yep.
Perfect.
There's the
All right.
tub way.
Now let's get Kevin
Where are your
Plawecki's
eyes?
pleasures.
Okay.
out
Kevin
of
Plawecki.
way. Okay, so guys,
Let's see where this
here
goes.
we go. All right, top 5 most underrated players in Mets history. Now, there's a lot of moving parts to this, so I apologize that I'm kind of unprepared here because I did not realize what the time was going to be. But here we go. Now, top 5 most underrated players of all time in Mets history. Number 5, Michael Conforto. I have never seen somebody get so overlooked in their entire career. Some of these weirdos on the screen have the audacity to say that he is overrated.
Yeah,
My
he's overrated.
Who the hell talks about him that much? Besides
You
me?
do.
But Michael Conforto, 5th all-time in FWAR among Mets outfielders.
Pitching
Top
franchise.
10 in FWAR among outfielders since 2017. One of the most patient and disciplined guys of this franchise. And one of the most that we have seen in quite some time. This guy had a rough year this year, but we know what type of player he is, and all of you guys are sleeping on him. Number 4, John Olerud. Batting average lovers. This is your guy. Bow down. He batted .315 in his Mets career. What a great hitter. Am I right? All right. He only played 3 seasons with the Mets, but they were really good ones. A combined 18.3 FWAR in that span, which is 10th all time for all Mets position players. Oh, and he was disciplined as well. A career 15.9 walk rate, which puts him in the 98th percentile in walk rate in 2021. I see this guy as the original Jeff McNeil, just a pure hitter. This guy was great. Just didn't play as much. Number 3, Sid Fernandez. One thing that was always mentioned from opponents of the 86 Mets, the pitching was tricky. You had Doc Gooden, you had Ron Darling, Bob Ojeda, you had Rick Aguilera. All these guys had different deliveries, different styles. Then there was Sid, one of the funkiest windups you could possibly see from a lefty, the owner of 6 consecutive 3+ win seasons from 1985 to 1990, and in 1992, 5-win season. A curveball that made hitters dizzy, a devastating rising fastball. This guy is top 10 in strikeouts by a left-handed pitcher from the span of his career from 83 to 97. That's his entire career. The 1986 Mets probably would not have been champions if it weren't for this guy who saved them down the stretch in the playoffs. Number 2, Carlos Delgado. Delgado came to the Mets towards the end of his career, but he was an excellent veteran for some of these young guys in this late 2000s team for the Mets. Why isn't this guy in the Hall of Fame? I just absolutely don't get it. A career 44.9 FWAR, one of the greatest players in Blue Jays history. He also had a great batting average. Why is this guy not in the Hall of Fame? I don't get it. He had a great career. Now, number 1.
Pete Alonso.
I'm just kidding. Calm down. Number 1, John Madlack. The Mets in the early 70s, they had Seaver. They had his left-hand man, Jerry Koosman. But then there was John Madlack, a man at his peak, should have been considered for the MVP in such as 1974, 1978 as well. This was a contact-first pitcher, but when he needed a strikeout, he got it. This is another Hall of Fame snub, in my opinion, but when some of your best days are post-1969 Mets and you play behind Seaver and Koosman, you're bound to be overshadowed. So there are my top 5 most underrated players in Mets history. Who wants to tear this apart first? Anybody?
I'll let the old man go first because he saw a couple more of these guys.
Yeah, I like everyone but Conforto. I mean, John Allroot for sure. I mean, he really was a very solid player that never gets talked about, especially by Mets fans and just in general, like you said, in all of baseball, because it's kind of similar to the Keith Hernandez model where, first base, they have to have big power numbers. They can't be good contact hitters. Like we say, good batting average. Guys don't hit 40 home runs every year. But Delgado, to go along with that, was one of those prolific powers from the first base position that did it for a ton of different teams. He wasn't terrible defensively at first base. No, he would get some nice scoops over there at first when he was with the Mets. And like you say, he just did everything well. And he was a guy, another player that Mets fans don't only talk about. In that 06 year, when the Mets were a game away from the World Series, Delgado had over 100 RBIs, and he was doing that year after year, putting up great RBI numbers. He then had some problems with the fans towards the end of his tenure. But all in all, Carlos Delgado definitely was a very solid Met. And then 2 guys that are super underrated, again, because of who was in their rotation. Matlack and Sid Fernandez. I remember both of them very well. Saw them pitch a ton. And Sid definitely was huge for that 86 team, no doubt about it. And he had some really good numbers. Like you look at Sid Fernandez's numbers, wow, no, those are really strong seasons. And for a guy that doesn't get talked about at all because, of Doc Gooden, of Ron Darling. So I agree with them. But then Michael Conforto, I do think that he is overrated in my opinion. And the reason why is yes, he did have that one all-star year, but every time Conforto has a big year, he follows it up with a bad year. He was all-star in 17, he's bad in 18. Good in 19, bad in 20 or 21. Good in 15, bad in 16. So when you continuously do that, when you are up and down, you're not underrated. And, the fact that there are so many Met fans that are like, oh my God, Michael Conforto. Before this season started, everyone was extend Conforto. Oh my gosh, Michael Conforto is so good. And they just go on and on about it. We look at his numbers. What does he do at an elite level? I mean, he gives you solid numbers in some okay areas, but he doesn't do anything that only a few select guys could do. There are other Michael Confortos in the league. So in my opinion, I believe he's overrated.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. And here's the thing about Conforto. I don't believe that he goes bad year, good year, bad year, good year. That I don't believe.
We look at his batting average. Yes, maybe his WRC plus is still good. Maybe his F-WAR is still good. But batting average wise, it's inconsistent.
Listen, and I think we're all putting average as bad, and that I kind of, that is something that's very common with, where if you have the league average BA or something like that, it's league average. It's not terrible. It's not good. And again, he also brings in the walks and the discipline, which also is something that is better and better for a hitter, especially these days where strikeouts are very common. But I mean, this year obviously did not have a good year. This was probably the worst you've ever seen him since 2016. And yeah, I just think that people are really sleeping on him here, and I think he's going to make some noise next year. All elite Rhino himself. What's the problem here? Who am I missing? Who should I add? Who should I take off of here?
Who you miss? I mean, you got a fetish for left-handed hitters, pitchers, all lefties. You also have it for some terrible MLB The Show cards, like Conforto sucks, John Olaru's dog water. Carlos Delgado would be an amazing MLB The Show card, and so is Sid. Well, Sid would be funky, like Fernando Valenzuela, Matlock, cool. Who are you missing? That's a really good question. I mean, Damian Easley, he's pretty underrated. Nobody talks about Damian Easley.
I love Damian Easley.
Damian Easley's the man.
I really do. I like Damian Easley. He was clutch. He was kind of like Peraza.
He was clutch.
He was
exactly. Yeah. How do you not have Scott Hairston, the most clutch left-handed buster in baseball? You forgot him. John Roush, because he's just big. Frank, there's so many guys you miss.
Carlos Beltran.
Carlos Beltran, facts. You analytics nerds just want to rip him apart, even though he's got the Gold Glove, Silver Sluggers, got a World Series championship, should have won an MVP. 30 seasons. He should be in there. I think you got pretty good. Maybe even Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo should be over. Nimmo should be there before Conforto's there.
Nimmo was considered for this one. Nimmo was considered.
Because at least Nimmo has a good batting average every year, unlike this guy.
But again, the sample was kind of hard to evaluate because he's just in and out of the lineup.
When you're the third best center fielder in the game, nobody talks about it.
As for Carlos Beltran, I feel like he was just established as.
I'm talking about by Mets fans. Mets fans underrate Carlos Beltran. They don't realize that this was probably the best hitter the Mets have had since maybe Piazza, I'd say. And they don't realize that. And you talk about that whole stat of how many center fielders the Mets have tried since Carlos Beltran was here. And these guys that have come in here are not even close. Nimmo's been hurt. There's defensively, he's not Carlos Beltran. I mean, let's get that situated. So I think that, and power numbers, Brandon Nimmo can't touch Beltran. Even
some juice.
Nimmo doesn't run as much T-shell. Beltran stole a good amount of bases.
Yep, 30-30.
So I mean, I think that Beltran has been very underrated. And we talk about center fielders the Mets have had. Look at this year, 2022, the free agent class of center fielders. You know who's in there? Juan Lagares, Jake Marisnick, Cameron Maben, Billy Hamilton.
Jesus Christ, the graveyard.
The Mets have had in the past few years, the free agent right now. Nobody wants them. They're horrible. But, the Mets are like, oh, well, we need somebody to fill in ever since they traded away Beltran for Wheeler. And, of course, Wheeler, they let him go to the Phillies, just completely wasted Carlos Beltran, who ended up playing very well after he was traded, whether it was with the Cardinals, with the Yankees, veteran leader for the Astros. He was good in the regular season. And, now look what you have. And he almost has a manager, and we know how it goes. But I think that people don't realize, they didn't appreciate, because they all go back to, I talked about in the Mets Killer video, the one strike. Yeah. They don't realize that he was an MVP candidate for that 2006 season. Not just
should have won it.
The entire National League. I think that people are very quick to forget that they focus more on one bad moment than countless good moments that Beltran brought to them that they have not been able to replicate, haven't gotten close to replicating ever since.
Always killed the Phillies, so that always puts a smile on my face. How many game-winning we talk about clutch home runs and coming up when it mattered and to get the RBIs when they matter. Dude, Mike's Conforto.
But he didn't come up in 06, though.
Well, 06, again, that one, even in that,
that
one.
And we talk about guys that are not in the league anymore since Carlos Beltran left. Yeah. The guy who struck out Beltran on that curveball,
that
pitcher is still striking out everybody with that curveball.
Exactly, with that curveball.
Sometimes you tip your hat.
One of the most effective ones, yep.
When guys throwing a curveball up in the sky, all of a sudden it drops in. And Wainwright I think was a rookie at the time. So I mean, sometimes it's a good pitcher. Obviously, he should have been swinging. He was not looking for a curveball. He was obviously looking for a fastball.
And nobody talks about Reyes lining out or who's
Popping up, yeah, Reyes
popping out like
Which
nobody.
the XBA. It's not his
They had
fault.
the route going, and Reyes popped up.
And of course, Beltran.
You get 0
and,
XBA with a strikeout. I mean, it's probably no. Hayden, what do you got here? Do you have anybody to add here to this list? I mean, who do you got?
What I probably would add is Howard Johnson. He's pretty underrated. He finished the MVP 2 times, top 5, twice in his tenure at the Mets. Was in the 30-30 club, I want to say at least 3-4 times with the Mets. And really, I don't know how long he played with them. He probably played for them maybe just shy of a decade, but he at least had a solid 6-7 seasons of all-star performance, in my opinion. Big smash, more home runs as his Mets tenure than, I want to say, Alonso, Wright, and Piazza. I don't know if anyone's like.
Yeah, Alonso's going to shatter that record.
But yeah, Howard Johnson's pretty underrated. Wilmer Flores.
Just traded.
Maybe Wilmer Flores could potentially be on that list. And of course, Peel.
I think
had Howard Johnson as
Wilmer still rave about Wilmer, so I wouldn't really consider him underrated by Mets fans.
Yeah, fact. Mets fans shut up about him. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had Howard Johnson. I had Jerry Grody. That was another one that I had.
Good one. Yeah.
I saw somebody say in the chat Ray Knight. That's a good one. But yeah, coming down to the 5, this is where I had it, and I think you have a little bit of bias to number 5, but hey, I can back it up, and I can take that to my grave right there. So, all right, so that's my top 5, guys. Let us know any other top 5 ideas for this segment. We have a lot of time here. We're going to answer a few questions. We're probably going to end it short, mainly because we have a lot. We have a lot less people here, so obviously there was going to be a lot less time consumed from this one. So, guys, let us know any questions that you have in the chat. I don't have the doc. I don't think have that.
No, I didn't see the
Yep, I had Delgado at number 2, my man. That's we think alike right there. All right.
MLB The Show. Please bring me Delgado, please.
Yeah, why doesn't he have an MLB The Show guard?
Bro, they teased us last year with Rob Hankey. They said new legend, Toronto Blue Jays legend, and it was Rob Hankey instead of Delgado. I'm pissed.
I might do these for the MLB overall. Let me know if you guys want me to do it, but I'll keep it strictly for Mets Weekly.
I will.
Ooh.
I will be doing my best and what I always do and get minor leagues. I'll be going to Springfield.
All right, yeah, guys, you can comment up some questions, concerns, and we'll probably just keep this at a restaurant talk right now for the next few minutes.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I love me some restaurant talk. Usually I like getting food first.
Andrew's been to a bunch of stadiums.
Yeah, I've been to. I have the Dodgers coming up this year, and Seattle year after, and then Atlanta. So that'd be 3 more. I think I've hit 13 in Major League, and not counting minor leagues and independent because God knows what that number is at. So Major League, I think I'm at 13.
I've been to a few. I don't think I've been to that many. I've been to Citi Field. I've been to Yankee Stadium. I've been to Tropicana Field. It's a fucking.
I'm sorry.
I don't feel like
I've been to Camden Yards. So
Yeah,
I guess 5. I took a tour of Marlins Park.
That's a
Nobody
shit. That's
there,
a
by the way.
dumb, bro.
Lone Depot Park.
Lone Depot Park is so trash.
Sorry.
That's just overrated. Overrated as hell. Everyone's like,
allowed to put the
yeah, overrated as hell. Just that National Park, like
once they lost that Jesus shrine in center.
Facts.
Field,
it went, and I saw with the shrine.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. Overrated. All these newer stadiums are kind of overrated, to be honest. But
I've been to Citi Field at least double digits. I've been to Yankee Stadium twice. Went to a Yankees and Padres, Yankees and Red Sox game twice. So I've been to Citi Field, Yankee Stadium. I've been to Camden once when I was younger. I went to Fenway on a high school trip in 2018, but it was during the off. It was in January, so obviously, but I still count it. I've been to Lone Depot Park 3 times, and then I've been to Tropicana Field. Honestly,
so many stadiums.
Tropicana Field isn't like great to other stadiums, but like to my standards, I don't like it. Like obviously, it's probably one of the worst, but it's suitable for me to go, and it's cheap, so it's suitable for me to go watch a ball game on a Friday night with some friends or my family.
$8
for players that is
behind the home
fans.
plate. The game I went to, $8 a seat behind home plate.
Nice.
A guy who threw out the first pitch, Dick Vitale.
Oh, nice.
By the way,
Nice.
You don't
I mean,
have
I
to
could-
use the mute button on him.
yeah, he's a big Rays fan. Guys, if you have any more questions, we'll give it a few more minutes. I just want to make sure there's no freaking news. If we want to talk about Kevin Pillar saying no to money, but I could care less at this point.
War criminal. There you go.
I talked about this. I think did I say this? I don't know. I talked about like possibly bringing in Andrew McCutchen as his possible replacement.
That was in
off
the group
bench,
chat. Yeah,
but I
yeah,
doubt
yeah.
he's going to want to have a bet.
I think
bench
he's going to
role.
cost too much.
Yeah, that's
Is
the
he
thing.
though?
Like
I think so. I mean, if the Mets didn't want to give
Lefties,
Pilar, was it $2 million around there, $3 million? McCutchen's going to get significantly more than $3 million, especially a bench player.
Well, why does it have to be a bench play? Replace McNeil and left field. And then sign Jock Peterson, have a platoon in the outfield. Or you can use Dom if you want to keep Dom tubbed up.
I just see like all these vets that the Braves brought in and all these guys, and you're like, okay, get like some of these guys.
A bunch of depth,
can
yeah.
destroy
Yeah, well, the
left-handed
thing is,
pitching.
They showed the numbers of where these guys were when the
before and
Braves
after.
acquired them,
Yeah.
compared to when they got them. They became drastically different players, especially Jorge Soler and Eddie Rosario. Like these guys were not doing well when the Braves trip. All of a sudden, they went amazing, and now it's like. And now everyone's just raving about the Braves front office. John Heyman's, all the guys. Oh, amazing work at the trade deadline. Oh, so smart. Meanwhile, yeah, it's like meanwhile at the time it's like, all right, these guys are pretty good hitters, but I mean the way they all of a sudden just became amazing is suspicious. I don't want to say that, but it's
Bro, he was.
they definitely got lucky. They got lucky.
You
Dude,
heard
I
it
were-
here first. They fucking
Anthopoulos
cheated.
was playing, real life battle royale. He plays MLB The Show. He saw all these guys are great in BR. He put the team together. I mean, think about it. He put the greatest BR team together.
Yeah, Jock and Solera for sure.
Jock Soler, Eddie Rosario. I mean, he just played battle royale, and he said, you know what? This is the team I want. I need outfielders. I don't want Christian Pache with no bat and Drew Waters, who is a dick, but forgot how to hit this year, so doesn't give autographs, dickhead. But besides the point, they said, you know what? Play MLB. Torre Soler, Juice, Rosario.
Yeah, so I mean, if you take the NBA show approach, not the analytics approach, I mean, maybe
Maybe you win a World Series, confirmed.
yeah, maybe better results. You get a bunch of good MLB The Show cards.
I mean, the
I mean,
Astros.
they got rid of Zach Scott, the analytics guys. Anything?
See, you just give me Frank. We take over. We'll just get a bunch of good BR cards, and we're ready to go. We'll just spam the bullpen rotation with sinkers and cutters, and there you go.
Yeah,
It's just great. I just find it crazy how like they lost Acuna, they lost freaking Ozuna, who's a fucking moron. But
Gets a ring too.
they didn't just replace them. They got replacements for those replacements too. Like it was just they went all out and they did a good job and they won the fucking series. So
And how do you feel about Acuna now? Because this is a guy that, like, obviously he has the talent to be an MVP candidate, but like, if a team could win a World Series without you, it's like, are you really an MVP? It's
yeah,
like,
trade him to the
Yeah.
Mets, dude. He just stinks.
Yeah. So Juan, so Frank, come on, buddy. It's wrong.
I think it's a hot.
Don't.
start.
I
I think
I
all
know
these
he's a
guys they
nice
traded
guy,
for,
he's
they got
speaking
hot.
with you, but I mean, like, in my opinion, to be an MVP, like, you need to be like, your team is either, you're the difference between winning a championship, with you there and you're not there. Compared to, like, if you're not there, team will still be great. I mean, I don't know.
At this point, after A-Rod basically won MVP as with the last place team, I think it's just the best player in the league.
Oh, but
that
we've
year.
seen Trout there
That's
all
the
the
thing.
time. Yeah, we've seen Trout.
Yeah, Trout. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Angels aren't completely terrible, but they suck. Like
Even with
So-
Otani, that's why Vlad deserves the MVP. I'm sorry, wait, what? Sorry.
I wouldn't mind seeing Vlad win the MVP. When I'm
Matt
on
Olson.
that.
Okay.
If Otani, the
Matt
pitchers
Olson,
will
let
can
you-
get Otani the MVP.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think we're gonna cut it short here. Obviously, two of the guys who aren't here, we probably would have made it a little bit longer. Guys, go on their social
Touchdown
medias.
Jets, Mike White, elite.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
they're
shit.
playing right now. Yeah,
They're playing right now.
that
Oh,
irrelevant
what
relevant
channel is that on?
franchise. The other irrelevant
All right.
franchise in New York.
All right, so yeah,
Elite
guys,
Mike
go
White.
on social media and go terrorize Tony and Elias. Tell them to get their asses in here next week. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Subscribe to all 6 of us. I'll let these guys give their final remarks to the jury. And Frank About Sports, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I have a video coming out this weekend, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, I'm not sure, with Andrew's help for the graphics. We definitely got a quality video coming at you guys. A little bit of a fun take on the offseason. Going to do a couple things a little differently than normal. So be on the lookout for that. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. So definitely I'm excited. And I hope that by next Thursday, next Weekly, we'll have at least a GM or president base operations or a hitting coach or a third base coach or a manager or
signing
anybody. I mean, something new. I mean, because they really got to change it up. And I'm kind of disappointed that even Raquel is not going to be a part of the organization because we said the Mets need something different. She would have been different. I mean, she would have been different than anything they've had. And that's exactly what they need because it's clear that all these things they have tried has not worked. So, you keep using Sandy over and over again, it hasn't worked. So just do something completely different, completely out of the box. She has a ton of experience, a ton of different jobs, worked for a ton of different teams. If she's open to the job and you see so many people reject you, why not? You know what I mean? It's come to the point, if there's nobody else, I'd so much rather have her in than promote whoever you have already in the organization. So I hope they do something new. Somebody is here by next time we do this.
Boy, I hope so because you already see some players going to free agency already. So it's like, and you got till September.
Monday, all hell breaks loose.
Monday,
it breaks loose on Monday.
And if you're too busy focusing on vetting candidates and you can't 100% focus on negotiations with players, I mean, what are you doing? Because Sandy Olson literally can't do it all, and he's going to have to. They showed it. He's like president baseball operations, GM, assistant GM.
The guy's going to have a stroke. Yeah, exactly. It's like, all right, Andrew, closing remarks.
He's going to sign Jace McCann again.
I'm a Rhino. I have a podcast where I talk for an hour. You should check Frank's video out. I'm going to make some very sexy graphics for that. And Jack Eichel video, Rhino Hour theme tomorrow. And then I guess next week, AEW Full Gear review probably on Sunday.
All right. I'll be looking for those graphics. We all know I love graphics. All right.
Hayden, want to cap us off?
What's going on, everyone? Let's Talk with Hayden is the name. Raging is the game. I hope we're all doing extremely well. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Pretty much if you guys want to check me out, that'd be appreciated. Pretty usual Mets videos. Been honestly talking a lot of MLB, getting a lot of MLB. Now Met people joining, I really wonder why. I mean, I've actually been wearing a lot of Met hats these last couple of days. So, obviously the off season is here. Does not have. That would be an interesting video. A lot of people are asking me to do a hat collection and jersey collection, so I probably will do that.
Have I reached the level where there's fake accounts of me? Oh Lord! Oh Jesus
Rhino
Christ!
Rhino
Magic! Oh God!
I will probably be doing a video of that this off season. I'll let you know.
All right.
Get a life if you're trying to be me.
I'm a Mets fan from YouTube. Carson, you can call me a weirdo or whatever. I don't care. I have we got some great stuff coming out for Mets Weekly. Hopefully before all this stuff goes down. I do have some concepts of videos, but I'm kind of working on a lot of Mets Weekly stuff as of right now. We're going to go watch Mike White annihilate right now. Guys, thank you guys for joining us. If you stayed till the end, you're awesome. And we love you. That's it. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys for watching Mets Weekly. See ya.
Okay.
What happened now?
I was gonna say Daniel Jones better kill. He's gonna kill the Raiders this weekend. Bye.
False.
Yuck. All right. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
That is the baseball cap.
LFGM.
I got to cap that.
LFGM. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, everyone.